You're welcome to the Policy Council. My name is Okwemi Agbaje. This week we go further into ICT and its role in entrepreneurship and in national development. I have a guest who has an inspiring story, a story that should be showcased as an evidence both of entrepreneurship and of the role ICT can play in business development. Enjoy the program. You're welcome back to the Policy Council. My guest is my friend, is my old classmate at the Lagos Business School. He's the CEO of Computer Warehouse Group, Mr. Austin Okere. Austin, you're welcome to the Policy Council.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
You're welcome back. I hear you were recently at Columbia. What were you doing there?
Well, my association
Columbia Business School, that is?
Columbia Business School, that's right.
Yeah.
My association with Columbia Business School started about 5 years ago when they wrote a case study about the Computer Warehouse Group. And the case was used in Columbia and other Ivy League schools, were used in Tanzania, used in Uganda. And they asked me one day to come to class to be present when they were taking the case. And since then, I've been going to Columbia twice in a year, 5 years now. I just came back from a similar engagement with Columbia, and I had the opportunity to speak to about 20 entrepreneurs in the Manhattan area, sharing ideas. I also go to speak at the Legatum Center in MIT. I've been there twice now, and I think I'm going to accept the opportunity to be what they call entrepreneur in residence in Columbia Business School.
So tell me the story of Computer Warehouse. How did you come from, and you may never remember this, but how did you come from that company that sold my department in GTB one small laptop in 1993 or 2 to an institution that the Columbia Business School writes a case study about?
I think it's basically in terms of what you see as a gap, a need to meet a gap. And if you feel burdened enough to do something about that need, and if you find people to go along with you on that journey, it's not a journey that the end is known, but at least it's a journey you can start with the best of intentions. So this is Computer Warehouse Group that in 1992, I left my former company to go and start because I thought I could do something better in terms of customer excellence, integrity to the customer. And started with just 4 people. You're right, we're a product sales company. We didn't have any OEM partner, which means global partner. But eventually we partnered with Dell because IBM was taking, HP was taking. And we stuck with Dell as a one-product company doing the support as well as the sales. And we did such a good job with Dell because we went through the whole training with them. And at the end of the day, they gave us many referrals. So we went into communication business with Cisco and Gillette and Intelsat. We went into software with Infosys for the banking application with Oracle, and we're the dominant partners of Oracle now. Went into the hardware business, server hardware business with IBM. And that's the way it started, from that small company that was selling products to GT and mobile, to the company that is now doing outsourcing services. We have over 100 people that resume and close from one of the biggest GSM companies doing what we call managed services. And then we are now going into outsourcing. With the same GSM company, we put a solution out there for microfinance banks that cannot afford to buy their own software. So we put it in the cloud, and they are running from that central system. It's called software as a service. So we've gone from product to service to outsource. How
big is Computer Warehouse Group today?
I think it's public information. We're doing turnover of about $120 billion, and we have about 650 people. We are present in 5 locations in Nigeria, including Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt. We have 17 support centers in Nigeria, and we have operations in Ghana, in Accra, Uganda, Kampala, and Douala in Cameroon. So we're in 4 African countries directly, and 17 others with online real-time, supporting customers over our online real-time platform.
If someone tells you that you couldn't, there are many Nigerians who believe you can't do this. Not in Nigeria, without power, with corruption, with military rule at the time you started, with Abacha, with a breakdown in economic activities. Many Nigerians would say what you're describing you did is not possible. You must have had one godfather in government who gave you the money.
But I must agree with you that maybe I was naive, optimistically naive. When I started in September 1992, little did I know that in June 1993, the country will shut down completely. I had salaries rolling, I had interest on loans, and I was not able to earn any income or any revenue, and we're stuck in there until. But the corollary of that is that if you have maybe a mango tree, many budding mango fruits on it, and suddenly a big breeze comes to shake down all the mangoes, and then you bemoan your loss that, oh, you're not going to make a good harvest. But the other side of that challenge, the opportunity side, is that few mangoes that are left take all the nutrients and become so big, so you can sell them as some different from normal mangoes and probably make more than what you'd have made from selling just mangoes. So because we hung in there after the June 12th debacle was over, there was a pent-up demand. Many companies had gone under, so the few of us that were there were able to pick up and really grow very fast. We also had the Y2K in year 2000 that brought a lot of demand. People were trying to recate, and that's where we sold our first banking applications.
How has the Nigerian IT market evolved over the period you've been in that business?
I think it's not different from what has happened globally, because you find that it was basically a commodities market that was promoted beyond what it was. So people were buying computers, which was like buying a radio set, but because of the mystique around the computer, we're able to charge a big premium. And then when the scales dropped from people's eyes, they started pricing it just like they would price a stereo set. And therefore, you had to move to higher ground, where we went into communications and into software. And even those are also challenged. I mean, even if you look at the way you buy music, how many people go to buy a CD? You just go to iTunes and download. So that evolving of technology is so quick in the IT industry that if you are not on the innovation curve, chances are that you're going to be a dinosaur.
Let's take a break. I'm sure the Policy Council will not be a dinosaur. We'll be right back.
Every day, we strive to make Lagos a better place for you and for me. We are restoring and regulating our signage, beautifying our streets, and greening our environment. By assisting with infrastructure, we're lighting up the darkness for all our safety, health, and happiness. Helping Lagos grow into our own international megacity. We are LASA, improving Lagos, one street at a time.
You're welcome back to the Policy Council. I'm still with Austin Okere, CEO, Computer Warehouse Group, a true Nigerian icon in business, if I must say so. You've not got a national award.
No, I haven't been invited.
Never been offered.
No, not that I remember or know about.
But you built a Nigerian business as a young man that has been, a case study has been written at Colombia, cases have been used across the world. What does that tell you? I don't know if you've thought about it.
I think it's about the criteria for the awards, which unfortunately I'm not very privileged to.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
So
Let me leave you out of governance and politics and go back to IT. There's this perspective, there's this alternative perspective about IT. You make us pay a lot of money. You say the server is below capacity, we must replace it. One time you come and say it's year 2K, we must change our systems. Another time you say no, that one is past, we must invest in internet systems. And there are some people who say no, all of this does not deliver value. What would you say to those people?
And I say that it's the way that you use it, that you can derive the maximum value out of it. The way we use systems is typically from an egoistic point. We're the first to buy the latest IBM. We have the biggest HP, you know, and that is really not the best way to derive value, because no matter what you have, in a matter of 2 to 3 years, it's obsolete. Our company we pride ourselves as the technology of business, which means that it's business first, and now how can technology enhance that business? You know, the question is, what can we do to bud that business such that everybody will play in it?
Some role for everybody down the value chain.
So you talk about broadband. Broadband depends on license, segment license or frequency license. It's not about making so much money from the people that are going to deploy the license for broadband. It's to make it available on a fair basis, at a fair price, such that it will be ubiquitous and it will be everywhere. If we had broadband, people will be at home streaming your program, and then they'll watch it when they're free. But we don't have broadband. You can't download a song. You can't do anything that requires you to work over the internet, because the internet is poor. And yet, we have terabytes of segments lying at the shores, main 1, glow 1, wax, but we're not able to take it inland.
Why? Can you give us the reason for that?
Well, you need to take it inland, you need last milers, service providers that are going to take that to the customer.
Okay.
You know, and we have what we call the core network and the edge network. So today we've gotten to a point where there is a sizable volume of core network provided by MTN that has provided the ring around the country. But the question is, they need to also empower the partners, which are like DCC, which is our communication company, to take it from that core network over the edge to the customer side, to your house, to your bank. And that's not happening because somehow the owners of the core network want also to go to the edge and make money. And my point is, you're already struggling with your voice. People are not able to...
And they're probably not properly configured to do that. They want to be both a wholesaler and
a retailer. And then they go to undercut you at the retail. So that is... Now the question is, what are the options? The government themselves, I mean, you have a company called Galaxy Backbone, but what backbone do they have? If they had a backbone, you don't have to depend on an MTN. We could just roll out based on the alternative to force down prices. Now that you don't have, perhaps you could engage the people that have, which is the GSM companies, with a carrot and stick. That, okay, if you enable the service providers to take it to the last mile, I will give you what? Right of way, you know, at a reduced price. But it's not happening. So the bandwidth still remains at the shore, and you and I cannot download a simple song. You talk about policy, and maybe I'm shy of policy. No, I'm not. I'm very aware about policy. Look at what is happening in Ghana. Do you believe that you can attract investments by the size of the fund that we have, whether it's sovereign wealth fund or whether it's SS Group fund? No. How much fund does Ghana have? Practically little compared to what we have. But they have infrastructure. They have a governance system. They have security. They have a legal system that works. These are the things that will make you attract investors. You know.
Let's take a short break, Austin. I will continue this interesting discussion right after. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. I still have Austin Okere with me. Austin, you were talking about comparing Nigeria with Ghana in terms of attracting the kind of investments that are required in the IT space. Can you continue down your line of thought?
Yeah, my point is that, let me ask you a question. I mean, we're trying to save money and save money and save money for what? What happened to the pension money? All gone, stolen. What happened to the petroleum money? All gone, stolen. Why don't we use this money to put in the requested infrastructure? I mean, if you look at the IBB bridge, I don't know how much they built it for. And I pretty much don't care how much it was built for. It solved the problem. People didn't have to go through Yaba. It's there. The bridge that Fashola has built connecting VI to Ikoyi through that bypass, I don't know how much it costs, and I really don't care. The fact is that that bridge is there and it's solving problems. So my point is that we need to put in infrastructure, do it. Jakonde talked about a light rail long ago. It was not done. Metro line. And before you know it, Dubai did their own, and it's attracting investment. Today we're talking about a light rail. People will go into the politics of it and who stole what and who didn't, and then it will not be done. So my point is that we need to get things done by way of infrastructure. We need to get things done by way of governance, legal, by way of even the broadband, which I talked about. Even this power, we are talking about who won and who didn't won in Delta State. It doesn't matter who won or who didn't won. Get it going. Let it go.
There.
Yeah. And then when there is power, you can find people that are going to come in and invest into companies like ours. What is our major attraction? A major attraction really is our population size. But if you have a population size of 160 million, of which only 10 million are empowered, your addressable market is still 10 million. You are not different from Ghana or Togo. But if there is a large middle class, and my point is as follows. I always say that if you have 10 billionaires, they are not going to buy more than 20 houses. So better you have 1,000 millionaires, at least. But better still, have 1 million people with 100,000 in their pockets. The most important thing is that they are going to buy 1 million houses, they are going to buy 1 million cars, a second car. It rolls the economy forward better.
And that's why nations are built on the back of the middle class.
On the back of the middle class, on the back of the SMEs, as you say.
SMEs.
And at the end of the day, if you can teach that guy to take that 100K, grow it, nurture it, and make many more 100Ks, and down the line, then you have a population of 160 million, of which maybe 50 million or 60 million have the economic power. Then you begin to talk, dictate your terms.
In the economy.
We don't matter now because it's only maybe 10 million that are addressable, that have economic power. And that's why we always wonder why the competition with Ghana is tilting more in favor of Ghana with just maybe 30 million people. But out of that 30 million, be sure that 20 million are empowered.
Are playing in the economy. So do you think, all things considered, can Nigeria become an ICT center? Can we become a hub for ICT, programming, software, hardware, the kind of things you're doing?
Yes, I believe so.
And what do we need to do to get there?
I think the first thing is, let's take the big things, the big ticket items. You talk about biometrics. You talk about INEC and registration. You talk about population commission. And you talk about ID card. These are large ticket items. Fine, maybe the local companies don't have the capacity, so let's bring in people that from the foreign side. But attach a local company. The condition for you to win is that you must come with a local company with a certain percentage, as is done in, say, Ghana. Such that Ghana is now going to 51%. Such that local, that when you finish and you leave, there's a continuity of that particular very important
capacity into the domestic economy.
But we're not doing that. We are happy to say, oh, our people are useless. Is it the first microwave oven that the Koreans did that worked? Is it their first car that worked? Look at that Subaru. Today, Koreans are controlling the market with Kia and Hyundai because their people had patience with them. The government encouraged them, even though the first ones were teetering until they became toddlers, until they became workers, and now they are runners. You go to the US, you hear adverts about Kia as if Kia is an American car. Why? Why don't we have a own company that is attached to a Toyota or a Kia or a Hyundai that is going to understand and be able to create the kind of market for support of these vehicles and make a business out of it? We did it with Pojo, and it was very successful until Pojo closed down. But today, nobody is able to say, I can repair Kia or Hyundai the way that we could repair Pojo. Why is that so?
Even those companies have to come and do maintenance here in Nigeria?
They do, and you go on a queue. If you have a problem with your Range Rover, Coach Charles is going to put you on the queue and say, sorry, we can't take your car until after 2 weeks. Now, if that's the only car you have, how is it? So there's obviously a market.
Those who have those cars usually have more than one car anyway.
Well, if your second car is a Mercedes and you get a queue at Mercedes-Benz place, then what do you do? What you want to do is to open it up and get the skills in and get people to, by waves, enhance the economy by network, number of people in network.
Let's take a short break and come back for our final segment, in which I want to talk to Austin about the current status at Computer Warehouse Group, and also about how education and skill empowerment in ICT can affect the outlook. We'll be right back.
Hey, where got my son?
We are giving free textbooks in our school today.
Hey, I thank God. Oh. I know with this Lagos State government free education, my son will end up being a lawyer or medical doctor. He can even become an educated automobile engineer. My son tell me, say, their school don't get beautiful building with a better chair and desk, new library, computer for everywhere, laboratory today. My people, All these things our children they enjoy today. Now our tax money do am o. I dey pay my tax.
Pay your tax. It's your civic responsibility. It's your duty. It's the law.
You're welcome back to the Policy Council. Austin is with me, our final segment. Austin, we need capacity in IT. Our people regard the computer as a foreign object, as some strange, mysterious, intimidating object, except perhaps for the very young. What do we need to do in terms of capacity building so that we can, how did India become an ICT hub? And why can't Nigeria do that? From the human capacity angle, what are your thoughts on that?
The point is that we miss it by thinking that addressing the needs of people in power is addressing the needs of people in the country, which is wrong. There is no policy of human capital development in a pyramid structure. As you pick is as you are able to output. So if the base you are picking from is very weak, then the output is going to follow that same trend, you know. And if you look at India, the story of India was education. The Western region of old, the story of the Western region by Awo was education. Educate the masses. The story of Ghana, where I was born and grew up, when I went to University of Ghana, were paid student loans to be in the university, and when you started working, you started paying back the loans. It was important. And the people that had access to education was a good quantum of the people that needed or that were eligible for it. Now, if you take Nigeria, we all take our children to go to school in Cambridge and Harvard, and they're going to come back to what? Are there companies where they can fit in? Who are they going to interact with? The colleagues that don't know a quarter of what they know, so they have to downgrade because they can't raise those people up unless you have a critical mass to raise everybody up. So we have not really cracked that issue of human capital development. If you go to many companies that have come to Nigeria to open their branches or their shops, whether it's Oracle, whether it's IBM, you find so many people from computer warehouse in there, so many people. And they put on their request, where they're rooting for people to join them, computer warehouse people, please apply. You know, and we are not, I wouldn't say we are sad or happy about it. These are our brand ambassadors. But the point is that we have an academy, a deliberate academy, where we've taken 50 people every quarter, and we take them through the culture, the practical, and the theory, and we graduate them. We take the best 10% and we keep them. Would have been bust by now, because our best assets that we have, not assets in that sense, is the people that work with us. They go home at 5, and you are hoping that they'll be back at 8. The day they don't come back, you have no company. So isn't it strange that we're still there with all the people that have been hired away from us? What happens is everybody has his own academy. As then, Leventis had a technical training division, UAC, UTC, they all had. How many of them still have? So at the end of the day, when you ask how can we make good this, it's by education, a deliberate policy to provide education, quality education to as many that are qualified or that are ascribed to it.
Let me ask you my final question around back to Computer Warehouse Group. What are current developments there? Where are you now? Where are you going? What's the outlook like for the company?
So just to tell you, we started in 2010 and crafted a 5-year vision where we said we're going to be the #1 IT utility company in Africa by 2015. And when we say that we want to be the #1, means we want to be on the Africa 200 list. On the Africa 200 list, you have to do a turnover of a minimum of 375. At least we saw that Access Bank was
$75 million.
Yeah. So our plan is that we're going to hit $500 million by 2015. Is it doable? We don't know. Are we going to try? We're going to put in our best effort. When I started and said we're going to one day list on NASDAQ, people were just laughing. But the point is to dream big so that even if you don't achieve, you don't fall too far short. You know, and you are asking, did you get a national award? Forget about a national award. Am I even getting encouragement to say, okay, this is a company that can do it, let's partner him to do it, you know? What about even, I started teaching at MIT and Columbia before I started teaching at LBS on a guest basis. I don't even do anything with Unilag. And yet we have a model that we can encourage youth to say, listen, if Austin can do it, if CWG can do it, so can I.
It's been a fantastic discussion and very inspiring one too, with Austin Okere, CEO, Computer Warehouse Group. We'll be right back. Starting from Adelabu Street in Surulere, Austin Okere and his colleagues at Computer Warehouse have built a $100 million company. They've had case studies written about them in Columbia Business School, and they've told their story at Columbia, MIT, and many global institutions. That's a Nigerian institution built in this nation, based on information, communication, and technology. We can produce 200, 300, 1,000 Austin Okeres and 5,000 Computer Warehouse groups. If we get the policy right, if we educate our people, if we give our people the skills in science and math required to build IT businesses. And of course the entrepreneurship and the entrepreneurial environment that allows them to succeed. It's an inspiring story, but we can do many more of such cases. It's been a good program this week on the Policy Council. See you next time.